Hello and welcome back to another video. Um, so this is video 17. In the last video, I just did a lot of small refactors, so I'm just going to go over everything. So here I just renamed the graph set to metric. Here in this metrics.py file, I fixed this typo where I spelled internal wrong. Also added these imports. I implemented previous tick, which gives you the previous tick of the current one that's being worked on. This is actually not true. This is broken. I'm going to fix this today and also test it. And then I also implemented this previous poll method. Also, this has the property, and this one needs property as well. So I'm going to do that today. Previous poll, which gives you the previous poll that was worked on for this particular poll, is I implemented, and this does work. Also, I added this x-axis title attribute to each metric that just gives you the title of the y-axis. So like this right here, days and load average and so forth. Also, I changed the uptime poll, so I'm using this this here instead of this. And this is based on this PSUtil. Originally, I thought that this was part of the standard library, but it's not, so I have to add that to the install file, the setup. So I'm just going to do that now. That way, when I install this Tutu module, it pulls in the dependencies, which in this case is now PSUtil. And what it does here is it just takes the current boot time. This is the time at which the last reboot occurred, and it subtracts that from the current date time, and then divides it by the number of seconds in a day, and that returns a number that's the uptime in days. And so this optimized uptime, I'm just going to skip this because it's not working, and I'm going to do it in a later video. Again, x-axis title, load average. On this one, it's the kilobytes for the directory size, but this one's not working either. It's directory size. And then more renaming, graph set to metric, graph set to metric, graph set to metric. Yeah, these are all renames. This one's when I renamed the misspelled word. And here I have get latest by, which I have to define in order to get the latest to work. So in order for this dot latest to work, you have to define get latest by in the model. So I did that there. Also graph set to metric. And more renaming graph set to metric. I added this right here, which is how we set the axis. So we set the title to be the title of the metric, and then x-axis or y-axis is going to be this y-axis title attribute that we added to each metric class. And then another rename, more renaming, and that's it. And so in this video, I'm going to do more kind of small changes. First off is this doesn't have a title, and that's because it's this one right here. This force failure is the first graph we have installed, and there's no title attribute. And what I want to do is instead of by default it being blank, I want it just to be the internal name. So instead I'm just going to delete this. Just going to return the internal name. Oh, self. There it is. So it's just showing the internal name instead of just being blank. And so the next thing I'm going to do is this one, it just says system load average. And this one also says system load average, even though the data is different. That's because this one is pulling positions. The first one is position 0, the second one is position 1. So we want that to be reflected in the title. So for this system load, the title, we're just going to define this as a function. And in parentheses, we'll have so this get load average, I'll open this up in the shell. And if we put the question mark, it gives us the documentation, and it says returns the number of processes in the system run queue averaged over the last 1, 5, and 15 minutes. So the first value is a 1 minute interval, and then the second number is a 5 minute interval, and the third number is a 15 minute interval. So that's why we're going to just put the number. If it's 1, then it's a. If it's 0, then it'll be 1. If the position is 1, then it'll be 5, and if it's position 2, then it'll be 15. And then this minute gets put into the string, and this has to be property. And so now if we refresh, there it is. It's a 1 minute interval, and then down here is a 5 minute interval. And that's done. So the next thing I'm going to do is put property here. Basically, property just it turns this method into something you can call without having to put the parentheses there. Instead of dot title parentheses, you can just say dot title. So it's like uptime dot title, and I don't have to do like this, because it automatically calls it. So anyways, this tick, this latest isn't going to work. So instead what I'm going to do is just say order by date, and it's this minus date, which is descending. So at the top of the list, it will be the highest date, which is the most current date, and then at the bottom it'll be the oldest date, and then we're going to just say 1. So if it was 0, that would be the same thing as latest. It would just take the largest date, but if we do 1, then it's the second largest date. So that's how we get the previous date, because at the time that this is being called, so before before poll, what the heck? Yeah, so before poll gets called right here. So before poll gets called, we actually generate the tick. So this is going to be the latest tick, and then it gets added right here. And so at the time that poll gets called, the latest tick will be the current tick. So to get the previous tick, we have to go back one more. So that's why we get -1. And then here is not going to be, it's going to be index error, because this is always going to return something, and then if it's empty, then this 1 is going to crash, and so it'll be an index error, and so in that case we turn none. And so in order to test this, I've modified this force failure to just print the tick, the previous tick, and the previous pole, and then just return 0 instead of the error, because in this case we're not testing the error, we're testing that it's working properly. So before I test it, I'm just going to clear out the database. Just going to delete all of these. And then I'm going to run a tick. And so this tick is correct. And then the last tick is none, and the last pole is none, which is correct. Now we run it again. It's saying this tick is the newer one, and then the old tick, the previous tick, was 5241, and 5241 is this one. And then the last pole would be the previous pole that happened, which was the one that happened up here. So this is now correct. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a label for this x-axis down here. So in the previous video I said we don't need a label down here because it's kind of implied what it is. It's always going to be the time. But what's not obvious is the time zone. So I'm going to put down here just whatever time zone that these values are from. So in order to do that, I'm going to this is the format object that gets passed into new plot. That's the third argument. X-axis title, and we're just going to say time zone. And this time zone, we're going to get it. This is the Django documentation. There's this tag right here, which gets the current time zone, and it pulls it from the time zone settings, which is defined inside the settings file. So here, for the Python 2 project, it's America Denver is the time zone. That's the default time zone, so that's what will show up. So I'm just going to put this up here. So this just stores it as its time zone variable. And in order for this tag to work, we need to we have to load the time zone library. So we'll just copy this in and just put it at the top. So now if I refresh, there it is, America Denver, America Denver. And if I go into my settings and I change the time zone, so this, I'll just copy this over. I'll just set this here. Now it'll convert the time instead of, so now it's Europe. But what's happening is the actual numbers here aren't changing. And the reason for that is that this data is coming in from this AJAX request, or this AJAX endpoint, get graph data. It just calls pull result.graph data, which is right here, this one right here, and it's just pulling the data straight from the database, and it's just putting it in here. And so what we want to do is we want to convert this into the correct time zone. So in order to do that, there is, we'll just reference the documentation. It's down here somewhere. Here it is. Oh, here it is. Yeah, get current time zone. Time zone dot get current time zone. That'll give us the current time zone. That's from the settings. Put this here, and then to convert it to a local time, you do this dot normalize. So I'm just going to say normalize, and there it is. And so now I go to this. It's a different time zone now. So it's now saying 22:52 for Europe, Paris. And if I move it back, it should change it to 14:52, which is like 2 p.m., which is almost 3 p.m., which is the time it is now in my local time zone. And I guess that's it for this video. This actually only works if time zone is enabled. So in the settings, if we go false, it'll actually crash, I think. Yeah, it crashes. So yeah, see, it crashes. And so if you click on one of these, it'll bring up the error. So it's saying no, this is naive time, no TZ info set. The problem is this dot normalize only works if this is time zone aware. If it's not time zone aware, then it just crashes. And so there's a fix for this actually, but I won't do it in this video. I'll do it in the next video. So now I'm just gonna commit. And that's it. And I'll see you next video.